So now I want to start off by talking about the differences between graduate school and undergraduate school. One major difference is going to be funding, meaning in general, graduate programs will actually pay you. In the STEM disciplines, the vast majority of students receive full tuition support plus a stipend for living expenses through a variety of funding sources that we will discuss a little later. But generally speaking, you should not have to incur debt to complete a graduate degree in a STEM field. Another difference would be research. So as a graduate student, your focus will be on research rather than completing coursework and exams as it was when you were an undergrad. So you'll be involved in very specific research, and you'll be focused on your own thesis or dissertation project. Another difference would be a faculty advisor. So you are expected to identify a faculty advisor. Part of the graduate application process is identifying a faculty member whose research interests you and with whom you would like to work. So this faculty member can then be your sponsor or your advocate during the application process. And although you can switch advisors once you actually enroll, it's not really advisable to apply for a program blind or without having identified at least one or two faculty members whose research interests align with your own. So next, let's talk about class size. In undergrad, depending on the size of your institution, you may have lecture courses with a large group of students. However, when you're in graduate school, even at a large institution, graduate courses are usually small seminars that will focus on discussion and group work. And then last, let's talk about independence. As a graduate student, much of your time will be unstructured, so it will be up to you to meet internal deadlines and complete necessary tasks and assignments. You are your own best advocate in graduate school, so it's expected that you'll actively seek out help and advice as needed. So now let me turn over the presentation to Chris Cash, who will speak to you about fixed funding options.
Great. Thank you, Sandra. Fixed funding is funding that is site-specific, meaning it is tied to a specific college or university. A good example of these are the most common methods of graduate school support, which would be teaching assistantships and research assistantships. In a teaching assistantship, or TA, you would be required to assist a professor in teaching an undergraduate level course. For example, you may be in charge of teaching lab sections, or you may hold office hours, help answer questions, or help grade exams. A research assistantship, or RA, is where you would assist a faculty member in their research project, perhaps by collecting data, running experiments, analyzing data, and even participating in publishing findings. These positions are offered by the university you are attending, and the pay usually covers tuition and provides a small living allowance. Usually these positions require about 20 hours of work per week. Other types of fixed support would be a departmental fellowship. A good example of a departmental fellowship are the IGRT traineeships. The acronym is Integrative Graduate Education and Research Traineeships, and these are programs funded by the National Science Foundation. There are about 200 of these programs located at colleges and universities nationwide with a focus on interdisciplinary, team-based graduate education. They are funded over $30,000 a year, along with support for tuition and fees. IGRTs are interdisciplinary doctoral degree programs. So, for example, there's a REACH IGRT. I think we have some photos of that, formerly known as the Biological Invasions IGRT at the University of California, Davis, where students study various types of invasive species in Davis, ranging from plant to marine-based species. This cohort brings together students across a variety of environmental sciences, as well as bringing to the team a history major who is documenting the history of biological invasions in the state, and a communications major assisting with outreach and public policy. Other examples of IGRTs include programs with a focus in robotics, wind technology, and genomics, and that's just naming a few. There's many others. And all of these can be searched by discipline on our website. Faculty may also offer similar support to IGRT under their own personal research grants, which you would learn about as you go through the application process for a given department. So that's a little overview of fixed funding, and now I'll pass it back to Sandra, who will outline some portable funding options.
All right. Thank you, Chris. And so portable funding. Portable funding is money that you can basically take with you to most colleges or universities. This funding gives you a bit more flexibility than fixed funding since you can generally take it anywhere and work on whatever research project you choose. So one good example includes the National Science Foundation's Graduate Researchers Fellowship. This is one of the largest fellowships in terms of the number of awards they make each year, and it's also one of the most prestigious fellowships in STEM. It provides a $30,000 annual stipend, plus your tuition is covered. The deadlines are pretty early in the fall, and they vary by discipline. So if you're an undergraduate, you'll want to apply early in the fall of your senior year, which is about August or September timeframe. And so NASA also provides fellowships. Now, I know a lot of people think of NASA as being only for aerospace engineers, but NASA actually is involved in research in a wide variety of disciplines, including the life and earth sciences. NASA fellowships are generally in the range of a $30,000 stipend plus tuition assistance. And NASA fellowships are unique in that they pair the student with a NASA mentor at a NASA center. And so as a NASA fellow, you spend the academic year working on campus with your faculty advisor. Then you would do an 8 to 10-week paid summer internship at a NASA center. There you'll work one-on-one with your NASA mentor on research that is still directly related to your master's or your dissertation research. And so you can apply for these NASA fellowships through the One Stop Shopping Initiative, or OSSI, website at intern.nasa.gov, which is also shown here in the graphic that you have. And so another fellowship that NASA offers is the Space Technology Research Fellowship, which is a new fellowship program with a funding package of up to $68,000 a year, which includes stipend and tuition allowance. So similar to other NASA fellowships, students will perform research at their respective campuses and at NASA centers and or at a nonprofit research and development lab and work with both their faculty advisor and a mentor. So you can find the link to this program online through the Inspires website, which is shown here, or you can also find it through the pathways-to-science.org website. And so in addition to these programs, there are many, many others out there. And one great place to begin your research is on our website, which I've already mentioned, which is pathways-to-science.org. I strongly encourage you to apply for as many as you possibly can. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is that you have to turn one of them down. So as a research graduate, you also want to keep in mind that professional development support is really important. So I encourage you to find out what types of support programs are available on the campuses you're considering. And so even if your department doesn't offer something, there may be campus-wide programs available. And again, one example that I can show is the Alliance for Graduate Education and the Professoriate, or AGEP, which is a support program that involves alliances of institutions. And so there's a map that's going to come up that will show you where these institutions are located. And so the support they provide can include social activities and professional development activities like dissertation workshops or workshops on interviewing for jobs and negotiating salaries as you prepare to graduate. They can also offer some financial support for traveling to conferences to present your work and begin networking with other researchers. And they help with the job search as you get to the end of your graduate program. Another example is the Minority Striving and Pursuing Higher Degrees of Success in Earth System Science, or the MS-PhDs program. This program brings students from many different institutions together for 3 different phases of activities over a couple of years. It also provides travel support to go to conferences and provides many workshops on things like networking with other researchers, giving presentations, creating an elevator speech, and doing a poster session at a conference. So remember, each type of fellowship will bring its own benefits in regard to funding and professional development, and often a mixed source of funding will be the best thing for a student. So for example, if you think you really want to teach in the future, you should definitely try to get a TA position like Chris spoke about previously, so you can practice your teaching skills well before you actually become a professor. Or as an RA position may be really valuable because you're also working on a faculty member's funded project, and as such, they're really investing in you. Then on the other hand, portable funding can be really useful, especially at times when you really need to focus on your project, without teaching or research responsibilities, for instance, when you're writing your dissertation. You should also keep a lookout for funding that is deferrable, meaning that you can accept the award, but you can wait a year or two to actually draw on the funds, as well as consider funding that is stackable, meaning you can use it at the same time as another funding source. So basically, just keep your big picture in mind and understanding what you're trying to accomplish in your graduate program, and also when considering your various funding options. Okay? So now I'm going to turn it back over to Chris.
Great. Thank you, Sandra. So I'm going to do an overview on some tips for applying. So the best, most basic way to get ready for applying to graduate school and applying to fellowships, and many of these aspects happen simultaneously, is to create a timeline to keep you organized and reminding you of which deadlines are fast approaching. Most deadlines for portable fellowships are in the fall, so if you're applying in your senior year of your undergraduate degree, you need to be starting this process in August, if not much earlier. And I want to suggest that you really take a look at the Committee on Institutional Cooperation, or CIC's handout. Their timeline is extremely helpful and detailed. We're opening that. This page will provide you really a month-by-month checklist of each step that you want to be keeping in mind as you're applying. Of course, you're going to want to start by searching for a program. We have two very helpful handouts here that outline the questions you should be thinking about and asking when you're applying to school. Another resource we strongly urge you all to take advantage of is our online sign-up form. So if you sign up, it will take about 5 minutes. You will immediately be sent a list of resources that match your academic interests. But additionally, you'll be sent periodic updates from us about opportunities and resources and friendly reminders such as warnings about upcoming fellowship deadlines. We are also contacted by faculty who are searching for students to recruit for their programs, and we will put them in contact with students in our directory with the disciplinary backgrounds they're seeking to recruit. So if you want to receive these resources and opportunities, we strongly encourage you to sign up on our homepage, pathwaystoscience.org. Probably our best online resource is our searchable database, and this can also be found from our homepage, pathwaystoscience.org. So I'm going to ask if we could open up a basic search to show you. So you can search by institution, by discipline, by geographic location, as well as refining your search a number of ways using our advanced search function. But to give you a quick example, I wanted to choose a graduate student as the user group, and then all engineering as the discipline. And by selecting this search, you'll receive a list of programs that match your query. And with using these two refinements for your search, it comes up with 184 programs. So we encourage you to use this search function in a variety of ways, but this is just to give you a quick snapshot of one way to do it. Once you do find a program with any school, you'll really need to familiarize yourself with the department to which you're applying. You need to research the faculty members that you may want to work with, making sure you would want to work with more than one person in a given department. Faculty are often transitioning due to research or sabbaticals, etc. So it's important to show your willingness to work with multiple people. When you define a department that you feel is a good fit for you, ask to visit. Many schools have support to bring in interested candidates, which gives you the opportunity to see and meet potential faculty, but also to meet the current graduate students. Are they happy? Are they getting published? Could you see yourself there for 6 years or more? This is also the time to be starting a dialogue about how you'll be supported through your entire degree. If you do not receive any fellowships, what type of departmental funding will be supporting you? And what are those expectations associated with your support? You definitely do not want to be sending in a blind application, which Sandra outlined at the beginning of the webinar. You need to have a faculty advisor in place prior to submitting your application. So in August, in addition to starting your program search and contacting programs that interest you, you want to be starting drafting your personal statements and reviewing and planning when to take the GREs, or Graduate Education Records. Many, but not all, graduate schools require the GRE, and preparing is key. GRE.org is an excellent website. It has a lot of free resources, including information where you might find test fee waivers if you're a student needing that type of support. So going back to our CIC timeline and checklist, it's suggested that you start preparing in early August and planning on taking the GRE by October. In September, you'll want to be reviewing and rewriting your personal statement. Use your campus resources like your writing centers and your peers and your mentors. Your personal statement is very important, so make sure you have many sets of eyes reviewing your statement again and again. Please also consider using our handout, Writing Strong Essays and Personal Statements, for more tips. Also, again in September, this is when you should be applying for portable fellowships and scholarships. Most have deadlines in late October or early November for the following academic year. So we're frequently contacted by students, and it's somewhat heartbreaking in the winter looking for fellowships and scholarships for the upcoming fall. And in most cases, it's just too late. You really need to be organized and applying early for all the funding possible in early fall, and we just can't stress this enough. Through October, November, December, you should be taking the GRE, again, preferably in October, asking for letters of recommendation, and submitting your application. Make sure you're choosing someone who will write you a good letter of recommendation. Supply them with your resume and that supporting document, which highlights the work you may have done in their class or research program. You really just want to make it as easy as possible for them to give you the best letter possible. This includes giving your letter writer lots of lead time, also following up. In most cases, you can see online if the letter's been submitted. So pleasant but persistent reminders are good and often necessary. Faculty are busy, but they understand the importance of your letter. So again, pleasant but persistent reminders are okay. And here again, see our supporting document with methods on how to go about cultivating strong letters of reference. When you do learn about your acceptance status, make sure to follow up and thank the people who wrote your letters of recommendation. And after you submit your application, follow up with the department to make sure your application was received. This type of conduct is what will make you stand out as a serious applicant. So please use our many supporting documents on our website in our resources toolbox to get more detailed tips for writing personal statements, securing good letters of recommendation, and what to expect in graduate school, as well as the CIC packet with timeline and checklist. We'll be sending you links to all of these materials following our presentation tonight. If you have any questions about what you've heard so far, we will be taking them at the end, so please write them in the chat box. And if we do not have time to get to your question, we will follow up with you in the next few days. So now we're fortunate to have a speaker, Melanie Harrison, who will share with you about her experience in the field, securing funding, and applying to graduate school. So but this time, I would like to introduce Melanie Harrison, who is a water quality specialist at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm always excited to work with the Institute of Broadening Participation to talk to students about how to fund your graduate school career. For me, it was an exercise in learning how to really navigate all the many funding opportunities that are out there. And it's really great to have an organization like IBP where it really is a one-stop shop for learning about how to prepare for graduate school, all the many different opportunities that are out there, resources that are available, and individuals that are dedicated to helping graduate students or future graduate students meet their career goals. The staff today have talked a lot about the National Science Foundation, which is one of the largest organizations for funding future graduate studies, as well as NASA. These organizations are really well known and really are the focal point for many fellowships, internships, and scholarships that are out there for students. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about the organization that I work for, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, as well as some other resources, opportunities, agencies, and organizations that I've been involved in over the course of my undergraduate as well as graduate career. That may help you, these resources may help you get to where you want to go in the future. Next slide, please. So really quickly, I thought I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. I thought I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. Really turns out that I can't cut a straight line in a stick of butter, and I faint at the sight of blood. So what was I going to do for career opportunity? And I had the great advantage of meeting a professor in undergrad named Dr. Fail, and I took a botany course, and saw an Elodea plant under the microscope and was immediately drawn to the field of environmental science. And during my undergraduate career, I was able to have one of my first research experiences as an REU. And that acronym stands for Research Education for Undergraduate. This is a program funded by the National Science Foundation. And it really catapulted me into doing research, into thinking critically, and also thinking about what I wanted to do in the future. Also, the National Science Foundation for me has been a place where I've continued to go back to look for many resources in terms of funding opportunities. And as Sandra and Chris talked about earlier in the presentation, you really have to be creative. There are funding opportunities that will come up, and some have limitations, or I may say timelines. Some may only fund your career for 2 years, others for 1 year. Some can fund, if you're lucky, for your entire graduate school career. But in my case, I had to be really creative. I had to search for opportunities and resources in terms of fellowships and research assistantships that were out there in order to fully fund my entire graduate career. As a graduate student, I had the wonderful opportunity to receive an IGERT from the National Science Foundation. And I believe Sandra talked about the IGERT. The IGERT is also a wonderful opportunity and provided me with a number of different experiences. Again, $30,000 stipend, resources, funding resources to do research and travel to conferences as well as present. Just a wonderful program that's really dedicated to training the future interdisciplinary science. And this was at the University of Maryland in Baltimore County. However, this program was only funded for the first 2 years of my PhD graduate career. And my career as a PhD student ended up being 3 years. So I had to be very creative after those first 2 years. I didn't think about during the second year of my graduate studies where am I going to receive funding for the next 3 years. I was actually thinking about that a year into my IGERT. And I think this is one of the most important things that students can really think about and focus on. There are always going to be funding opportunities, but you have to act, and you have to act early. And so you have to know what the requirements are of your fellowship or internship or traineeship, and when your funding source may end so that you can continue to supplement your research as well as your graduate studies in the future with additional funding resources. So during my third year as a graduate student, I applied and received a private research assistantship from the Carey Institute of Ecosystem Studies in Millbrook, New York. My final 2 years of graduate school, I received a graduate scientist program traineeship with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. This is probably one of NOAA's best-kept secrets. It is a highly competitive program. On an average, 5 students are chosen, graduate students are chosen each year. It is a master's as well as a PhD funded program. This program allows you to work as a NOAA employee during your time as a graduate student, and they also pay you as a full-time employee. You receive wonderful benefits. You have the opportunity to work at a duty station of your choice, and NOAA has offices in all of our territories as well as our states. So there's wonderful opportunity to work in places such as Hawaii, California, Massachusetts, Florida, anywhere that you can think of, there is a place for you. And so this is really a great program out of the Office of Education for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Next slide, please. So I want to talk a little bit about the structure of NOAA as an organization, because I think that students should know where some of those wonderful opportunities may lay for them in the future. NOAA has a total of 7 line offices, and I'm just going to name a few here. The Marine and Aviation Operations, the National Marine Fisheries Service, and this is the line office that I work for, the National Ocean Service, the Office of Oceanic and Atmospheric Research, the National Weather Service, the National Environmental Satellite Data and Information Service, NESDIS, the Program Planning and Integration Office. However, there are also 14 different staff offices, and these staff offices support the mission and vision of NOAA as well as its line offices. And within the staff offices is the Office of Education. If you want to know more information about our line offices as well as our staff offices, please go to NOAA.gov. There you will find many of the wonderful opportunities that I talked about and that I will talk about further in the presentation. Next slide, please. So, what resources are available for graduate students? Well, I want to first talk about the Graduate Science program. And, you know, I think this is, again, one of the best-kept secrets. The Graduate Science program is really aimed primarily at increasing opportunities for students in NOAA-related fields to pursue research and educational training in atmospheric, environmental, remote sensing, and ocean sciences at minority-serving institutions when possible. The GSP offers between 2 years for master's candidates to 4 years for doctoral students of NOAA-related research and training opportunities. The link is also below if you'd like more information about the Graduate Scientist program. Next slide, please. Many of you may have heard about the Nancy Foster Scholarship Program, also sponsored by the Office of Education. This scholarship program provides support for outstanding scholarships and encouraging independent graduate-level research in the fields of oceanography, marine biology, or marine archaeology. The Nancy Foster Scholarship Program carries a 12-month stipend for each student of $30,000, an annual cost of education allowance for up to $12,000, and up to $10,000 support for 4 to 6 week research collaboration at any NOAA facility. Particularly, women and members of minority groups and master's students may be supported for up to 2 years, and doctoral students for up to 4 years. Depending on funding, 3 to 4 scholarships are awarded each year. So many apply, but very few are available. However, again, this is a wonderful scholarship program. Many prestigious researchers, graduate students have come from this wonderful scholarship program. And if you're interested in pursuing a career with NOAA, I implore you to check out this scholarship program. Next slide, please. At NOAA, we also have the Sea Grant program. Many researchers around the country, advisors, mentors, colleagues collaborate for Sea Grant programs, and they are wonderful opportunities to fund your research over your 2 to 4 or 5 years as a graduate student. One of the programs from Sea Grant is the John A. Knopf Marine Fellowship. The National Sea Grant College Program provides a unique educational experience to students who have an interest in ocean, coastal, and Great Lake resources, and in the national policy decisions affecting those resources. The program matches highly qualified graduate students with hosts in the legislative and executive branch of government located in Washington, D.C. area for a 1-year paid fellowship. This program is named in honor of one of Sea Grant's founders, former NOAA Administrator John A. Knopf. It really is a wonderful 1-year program if you're interested in how science influences policy, or you want to get involved in science policy in general. Also, Sea Grant sponsors the NOAA Fisheries Graduate Fellowship. NOAA's National Sea Grant Office and NOAA's Fisheries established a graduate fellowship program in population dynamics and marine resource economics. This fellowship is for PhD students who are interested in either of these 2 disciplines. So again, really wonderful opportunities for graduate students to get involved in ocean sciences and explore even policy-related fields with respect to ocean science. Next slide, please. Many of the programs from NOAA are ran out of our Office of Ocean Exploration. I decided to just put up a few of the wonderful photos and images from the Office of Ocean Exploration. They, again, host a number of internship, fellowship, and scholarship programs. I encourage you, again, to check out the website if you're interested in the many facets of ocean exploration. Next slide, please. And again, the National Science Foundation, which really is the linchpin for many of the funding opportunities that are available for graduate students out there today. The Integrated Graduate Education Research Traineeship. And the way that science is moving today is that many folks are thinking about how to be more interdisciplinary or even transdisciplinary, and thinking about how policy influences science. And really, an IGERT is a really great opportunity to do many different things, even not only for STEM fields, but also for liberal arts as well. Well, why apply to IGERT? Some of the really great reasons. You receive a graduate tuition and stipend support. Combine interdisciplinary science with practical experience. You can choose from more than 100 programs at over 80 colleges and universities. And funding is really limited. So take advantage of NSF IGERT really early on. And again, as Chris mentioned earlier, the deadlines, they do vary depending on which program you're applying to. So, if you're interested in a certain geographic area, look for IGERTs even at your particular school of interest. Find out what those deadlines are. Contact those individuals who are the co-PIs or principal investigators and talk with them about their program, learn more about it, particularly if you want to apply. Next slide, please. And really the secret to success for funding your graduate career is really to plan strategically. And I think that you've heard this theme throughout the presentation. Identify and develop a plan of attack, and I think IBP's website is really a great place to do that. They have many resources on timelines and deadlines and essays and resources that can help you prepare and plan for your graduate school funding. Know who, what, when, and how. How are you going to actually make it happen? Many of these schools, when you're applying, they do require applications, and many of them require applications, and they require application fees. So figuring out how that's going to be funded is also very important. Establish a solid foundation in the field to increase your probability of success. Right now, as undergraduates, you have to figure out how to be involved and engaged in your field of study. Show a passion. Join organizations. Develop student workshops. Volunteer. Continue to go to conferences. And get involved in programs such as MS-PhDs and AGAP that will help you along in your professional development. Identify your top funding opportunities to maximize success and minimize the risk. And the risk is that, you end up missing the deadline and you don't have any funding opportunities out there that are available for you. And there are so many that are out there. You really have to think strategically about how effective you're going to manage your time so that you can apply to these programs. And also, identify all the important resources that you will need to apply. Many of the applications require recommendations, transcripts from all of your institutions. This can be pretty hard to find at times, and so you want to make sure that you're on top of getting all of the resources that you'll need to apply. And stay focused on your strategy. And just do it and don't procrastinate. Procrastination gets to all of us every now and then, but you really can't procrastinate on funding opportunities and funding your career to do what you want to do in the future. Next slide, please. So I would say to students to really start building your brand today, and you're always working on your brand. Apple has a noticeable brand out there. They believe in making clean, slick, beautiful technology that everyone can use. And figure out what your brand is. If your passion is studying a microorganism or going out and doing field research, continue to demonstrate your interest, your commitment, and your skills. That's going to help with your application process. Communicate effective verbally and nonverbal. That's going to be extremely important in terms of writing your essay for that application, but also throughout your graduate career when you're publishing your work or you're at a conference. Network with your peers and colleagues and others in your field. Networking is really, really invaluable. Some of the opportunities that I've been afforded today was simply because I began to talk about the things that I love to do and found opportunities that were out there that I didn't know existed. Really become a player in your field. If you want to know more about what's going on in your field, look on social media. People are out there talking about the things that they love to do and the things that you're interested in. Get involved in that conversation. If you want to continue to communicate and start a conversation, I'd say start a blog. Or check out researchgate.org. It's a wonderful way for researchers, graduate students, or undergrads to talk to others in the field of study, get questions answered, and really be recognized for being committed and interested in your field of work. All of these things help you when you're going to the next level, when you're actually applying for funding opportunities. This information you can put on an application. It's really interesting. It sets you apart from your counterparts, and it'll hopefully help you get funding so you can do the things that you love to do in the future.